He was the world's most wronged sniper. He fired 2,000 bullets a day, but never killed a single person. For 2 years, he fantasized daily about scenes of bloodshed and brains splattering, and the thrill of a single shot into the spine filled with salt water. Tragically, he was never allowed to fire a single shot, despite his nightly stakeout. Watching people come and go through his 8x scope every day drove him almost insane. Finally, after accumulating 200,000 rounds of target practice, he couldn't take it anymore. He picked up his sniper rifle, aimed at a human body, and fired. 1 shot, 1 kill. 2 shots, 2 shots, 3 shots. The 3 men instantly lost their balance and mutated. Fortunately, they weren't sent to military court, because these men were all ruthless rebels. The massacre was classified as war. It was thought he would feel remorse and emerge from his inner shadow, but unexpectedly, after his discharge, he became even more insane. He went to a high point in a city, set up his long-range rifle, and aimed down indiscriminately, killing adults and children alike. He then fired 6 shots, killing 5 people, and then fled. After receiving the report, Officer Lao He quickly led Buffler to the crime scene and found bullet casings, coins, and other evidence. Through fingerprint analysis and online comparison, they quickly identified the sniper as Bill, a former Navy SEAL elite sniper. However, it's questionable how a highly trained sniper could leave such obvious evidence at the scene. Without further ado, Buffler immediately arrested Bill. They found the car used to escape during the crime and tools for making bullets at his home. However, during Bill's 17-hour interrogation, he didn't utter a single word, only writing the name Jack Ratcher on a piece of paper. The officers were baffled. Who was Jack Ratcher? After reviewing a large amount of data, the police discovered that there was no such person. Just when the police were at their wits' end, a man claiming to be Jack Ratcher approached them. Jack Ratcher, a senior investigator, the investigator who had served in multiple locations and was elusive and homeless, told the police that as a professionally trained sniper, it was impossible for him to leave so many clues at the scene after killing his target. Furthermore, a professional sniper wouldn't choose this location as a high vantage point. Therefore, there was only one possibility. The murderer wasn't Bill. Someone had framed him. Jack demanded to meet with Bill to get to the bottom of things, but unexpectedly, Bill was already unconscious. It turned out that he was beaten by other prisoners on the way to his arrest. This made Jack even more convinced of his deduction, because he had handled a murder case involving Bill in the military years ago. This was also why Bill didn't speak during the interrogation, only writing down Jack's name. He knew he had been perfectly framed and trusted Jack's investigative abilities. However, Bill's defense lawyer, Xiao Mei, didn't agree with Jack's approach. She felt Jack was putting on an act until Jack was. The group of thugs surrounded Xiao Mei, and only then did she realize that Jack's appearance might be subtly threatening something. She then told Jack about the events of the case. The first victim was a full-time nanny who took her employer's child to the supermarket every day. The second victim was a single mother raising her son alone. The third victim was a devoted wife and mother who had just bought a men's watch at the mall on the day she was murdered, deliberately concealing it from her husband to surprise him. The fourth victim, according to the Consumer Records, was a female vice president who ran a construction company with her husband. However, her husband died suddenly in the office due to overwork. After his death, a rival company attempted to forcibly acquire the company, but the vice president refused. The fifth victim was an investment broker who had a big argument with his wife the morning before her death. A bouquet of flowers was found beside her when she was murdered, presumably to ease the marital conflict. Several victims died in the same location. Without any prior contact, it could be ruled a random killing. However, Jack's opinion differed greatly. He believed that the housewife, even if she wanted to surprise her husband, didn't need to deliberately hide the fact that she bought flowers at noon, instead of when the sales agent wasn't home in the afternoon. The housewife, upon seeing the agent shot, didn't panic and run away. Instead, she staggered forward a few steps. But these suspicious points didn't definitively prove anything. Just as Jack and Xiaomei, while completely bewildered, Jack happened to spot an Audi downstairs. He remembered that this car had been following him recently, so he asked Xiaomei to investigate the suspicious vehicle. What they found shocked them. The car was registered to a company called WT Construction. WT Construction was in litigation with the construction company owned by the 10th victim, the female vice president, and was preparing for a forced acquisition. This connected the dots. WT wanted to acquire. The female CEO's company was targeted by a female vice president who insisted on her decision, leading the company to hire a hitman to kill her. The other 4 victims were merely a smokescreen used by the hitman to conceal the true target. Now that we know the killer's motive, how did they frame Bill? Jack and May researched a lot of information about Bill and discovered that he was very reclusive in real life, and his only hobby was target shooting. Therefore, they could only go to the shooting range that Bill frequented. Searching for clues, Jack discovered the shooting range owner was a strange old man. This odd old man at the range loved to make friends through martial arts. To get anything out of him, you had to hit the bullseye 3 times in a row. Jack had no choice but to try, and thankfully, he hit all 3. Although the old man considered it barely passable, in reality, this level was already very impressive. Before Jack could even ask a question, the old man proactively told him, "I have an even more skilled customer here. His name is Bill." This immediately hit the nail on the head. Jack's heart pounded because this was exactly the question he wanted to ask. Then the strange old man showed Jack Bill's fingertip. Jack immediately saw through it. It couldn't possibly have been Bill who did it, because even at the peak of his military career, he didn't possess that level of skill. Therefore, it could be determined that someone else was responsible. So Jack had the old man review previous surveillance footage. They discovered a mysterious man who had secretly switched Bill's fingertip. The culprit who had framed him. The culprit was this man. He secretly gave Bill the grades he had set for himself, and then flattered him. Bill felt he had made a very good friend, someone he could talk to about anything. The reason the man was able to frame him so perfectly was because he knew Bill had a prior record of killing someone with a sniper rifle, and used that record to his advantage. It was a perfectly preserved illusion of a past offense. But fortunately, investigator Jack was smart enough to understand even if things were like this, there would definitely be fingerprints on the man's fingers used to frame him. Just as he was about to find the right moment to commit the crime, Xiaomei was kidnapped by Officer Lao He. It turned out that he was the mole in this incident. They were all in cahoots, and the boss behind them was a guy called One-Eyed Dragon. This group was an organized criminal gang. Every time they went to a place, they would try to take over a construction company and then, in conjunction with politicians, build some unnecessary projects to obtain huge profits. And Jack's appearance immediately. They were about to ruin their plans. They called Jack, using May as leverage, to force him to meet them at the foot of a mountain. This was tantamount to sending Jack to his death. Otherwise, they would send the fingerprints extracted from May's finger to the federal police. After a round of threats, Jack successfully forced out the exact location where May was being held. The villains also collectively prepared for battle. Jack also had an accomplice, the strange old man at the shooting range. However, the old man was too old. With poor eyesight, Jack could only pinpoint enemy positions by sound. He even gave Jack a dirty trick, to recline the car seats and drive backwards. This way, Even if the enemy was firing wildly, it would be hard to hit him. It worked, but it was difficult to control. Before he even got there, he got stuck on rocks. Jack had no choice but to jump out of the car and look for an opportunity to break out. The strange old man was there, firing shots intermittently. Quite a nuisance, but it was rather effective. The villain, Big Rabbit Head, was nowhere to be found. Where did the gunfire come from? A hail of bullets rained down. Jack seized the opportunity, flicked his forehead, picked up the drug-slaughtering gun, and charged. Meanwhile, the old man made a new move. He drove his truck around aimlessly, the roar of its engine drawing the soldiers in. Jack seized the chance and killed them all. The drug-eyed boss inside finally couldn't sit still any longer. He sent out the sniper to frame Bill, but the assassin was intercepted by Jack as soon as he stepped out the door. Jack was out of his mind, but instead of killing him, he chose to fight him hand to hand. Perhaps the whole case had made him too angry.